The period from 190 to 208 was a tempestuous prelude that shaped the entire landscape of the subsequent three kingdoms, beginning with the total collapse of the Eastern Han Dynasty's royal authority and ending with the clear division of the realm into a tripartite balance. Opening this chain of upheavals was the year 190, when Yuan Shao assembled a coalition of 18 regional warlords to punish the tyrant Dong Zhuo, who was manipulating the imperial court and devastating the capital city of Luoyang. Despite marching under the banner of justice, the coalition quickly dissolved due to selfish motives and the warlords' territorial ambitions, allowing Dong Zhuo the opportunity to burn Luoyang and force the imperial court to relocate the capital westward to Chang'an. This event officially tore away the veil covering a decayed dynasty, plunging China into an era of grand chaos as warlord factions began openly annexing one another. After Dong Zhuo was assassinated by Lu Bu in 192, the Central Plains fell into an unprecedented civil war, highlighted most prominently by the rise of Cao Cao in the Yanzhou region. He not only crushed the Yellow Turban remnants, but also made a stroke of strategic genius in 196 by welcoming Emperor Xian to Xuchang, implementing the policy of controlling the warlords in the name of the emperor, to campaign in all directions under imperial legitimacy. At the same time, in the north, Yuan Shao eliminated Gongsun Zan to monopolize the four vast provinces of Ji, You, Bing, and Qing. In the south, Sun Ce, leading only a few hundred of his father's former troops, swiftly pacified Jiangdong, laying a solid foundation for the Eastern Wu faction. Meanwhile, Liu Bei wandered from place to place, sometimes relying on Tao Qian in Xizhou, other times patiently biding his time under the banners of Cao Cao and Yuan Shao to wait for an opportunity. The chaotic situation of various warlords tearing the realm apart gradually narrowed into a direct confrontation between the two most powerful forces of the time, Cao Cao and Yuan Shao, leading to the historic Battle of Guandu in 200, where Cao Cao, though outnumbered, used brilliant strategy and burned the enemy's grain depot at Wuchao to completely defeat the main Yuan army, paving the way for sweeping away the northern remnants and unifying the entire vast Yellow River region by 207. Right after mastering the north, Cao Cao immediately directed his full strength southward to fulfill his ambition of unifying the country, forcing Liu Zong of Jingzhou to surrender without spending a single arrow, which caused Liu Bei to flee in utter chaos during the Battle of Dangyang, Changban. Standing on the brink of life and death, Liu Bei dispatched Zhuge Liang, whom he had just invited out of his thatched cottage after 3 personal visits in Longzhong, to Jiangdong to persuade Sun Quan, the successor of Sun Ce, to form an alliance against Cao. The combination of Zhuge Liang's strategic mind, Sun Quan's determination, and Zhou Yu's military genius led to the earth-shattering Battle of Red Cliffs in the winter of 208, where fire attacks on the Yangtze River completely incinerated Cao Cao's warships along with his ambitions, forcing him to retreat to the north. Cao Cao's defeat at Red Cliffs not only halted the Wei army's momentum toward unification, but also gave Liu Bei the opportunity to seize most of Jingzhou as a springboard to enter Shu, while helping Sun Quan firmly consolidate the borders of Jiangdong, officially closing the era of warlord chaos to open up the glorious tripartite confrontation among the 3 nations of Wei, Shu, and Wu. Following the momentous turning point at the Battle of Red Cliffs in late 208, the geopolitical landscape was no longer a directionless, chaotic free-for-all among 100 factions, but officially entered a phase of strategic alignment and power accumulation to realize the tripartite division among three feudal coalitions. The period from 209 to 219 witnessed the aggressive expansion of the two southern powers, Liu Bei and Sun Quan, while Cao Cao was forced to temporarily shelve his ambitions of conquering Jiangnan to consolidate his domestic front and seek alternative breakthroughs. Liu Bei, after years of wandering without a single patch of land to call his own, seized a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to capture the southern commanderies of Jing province, while cleverly borrowing non-commandery from eastern Wu as a strategic springboard. Recognizing that Jing province was surrounded by enemies on all sides, hindering peaceful development, Liu Bei followed Zhuge Liang's Longzhong plan and led his forces into the land of Shu, starting in 211, leaving General Guan Yu behind to guard Jing province. After 3 years of arduous campaigning, which cost the life of his strategist Pang Tong, Liu Bei officially forced Liu Zhang to surrender in 214, mastering the vast and prosperous Yi province. Meanwhile, Cao Cao in the north did not remain idle. He titled himself King of Wei, establishing a miniature kingdom within the Han Empire, and launched a western campaign, defeating Ma Chao and Han Sui to pacify the Guangzhong region, before forcing Zhang Lu to surrender Hanzhong in 215, pressing right against the gateway to Liu Bei's Shu. Aware of the imminent threat, Liu Bei mobilized his full strength to launch the Hanzhong campaign, spanning from 217 to 219. There, the veteran general Huang Zhong slew Wei's Grand General Xiahou Yuan at Mount Dingjun, forcing Cao Cao into a bitter retreat and allowing Liu Bei to declare himself king of Hanzhong, elevating the prestige of the Shu Han faction to its glorious zenith. Riding the wave of victory, in the autumn of 219, Guan Yu launched the Fan Cheng campaign from Jing province, drowning Yu Jin's 7 armies, executing Pang De, and sending shockwaves throughout the Central Plains, to the point that Cao Cao contemplated moving the capital to evade his vanguard. However, Liu Bei's rapid rise drastically fractured the Sun-Liu alliance, as Sun Quan harbored a perpetual obsession with reclaiming Jing province and feared being swallowed by the growing might of Shu Han. Capitalizing on Guan Yu's vulnerability while his entire army was concentrated in the north, Cao Cao secretly allied with eastern Wu, enabling Lu Meng to execute the crossing the river in white robes ruse, launch a stealth backstab, and capture the entirety of Jing province, culminating in the tragic and heroic death of Guan Yu in late 219. Entering the year 220, Cao Cao passed away from illness in Luoyang, and his son, Cao Pi, immediately forced Emperor Xian of Han to abdicate, officially ending over 400 years of Han rule to establish the Wei dynasty. To maintain dynastic legitimacy, Liu Bei also ascended the throne as emperor in Chengdu in 221, founding the Shu Han state, and immediately mobilized the entire national strength of Western Shu to launch an eastern expedition against Wu to avenge Guan Yu and reclaim Jing province, despite Zhuge Liang's earnest remonstrances. The life and death confrontation between the two southern kingdoms culminated in the Battle of Yiling in 222, where eastern Wu's Lu Xun, through his military genius, utilized a fire attack to incinerate the interconnected Shu camps spanning hundreds of miles, dealing Liu Bei a crushing defeat and forcing his retreat to Baidi Castle, where he died in melancholy in 223. Following Liu Bei's passing, Zhuge Liang managed the state affairs of Shu Han and restored the strategic alliance with Eastern Wu, by which time Sun Quan also formally declared himself emperor in 229, completely finalizing the geopolitical structure of the three kingdoms. To fulfill the late Lord's wish of restoring the Han house, Zhuge Liang, after pacifying the Nanzhong region, launched 6 expeditions to Mount Qi from 228 to 234, engaging in a fierce duel of wits with his great rival Sima Yi of Wei. However, due to the treacherous terrain, logistical difficulties, and the resilient defense of the Wei forces, these northern expeditions repeatedly stalled until Zhuge Liang died of exhaustion right at the front lines on the Wujiang Plains in 234. In the east, the Sun clan of Jiangdong also repeatedly marched north to attack Hefei, but were continually thwarted by Wei generals like Zhang Liao and Man Chong, trapping the tripartite standoff in a state of grinding stalemate that dragged on for decades. This equilibrium was only shattered from within when the Wei court was gradually manipulated by the Sima clan following the incident at the Gaoping tombs, launched by Sima Yi in 249. Armed with absolute power, the Tao Wei state under the Sima clan's administration initiated their campaign to unify the realm by dispatching Deng Ai and Zhong Hui to swiftly conquer a weakened Shu Han in 263. By 265, Sima Yan deposed the figurehead Wei emperor to establish the Jin dynasty. And finally, in 280, the Jin forces sailed down the Yangtze River to annihilate the crumbling Wu state, officially closing nearly a century of blood-soaked, legendary division during the Three Kingdoms era. After the flames of the Three Kingdoms War officially died out in 280, with the fall of Eastern Wu, the Western Jin dynasty of the Sima clan completed its mission of unifying the country, bringing the realm under one rule after nearly a century of blood-stained and tearful division. However, peace did not last long, as the foundations of the Jin dynasty inherently carried the seeds of disaster from Sima Yan's policy of granting excessive land and military power to the imperial princes. When the founding emperor passed away in 290, the throne was transferred to his intellectually disabled son, Emperor Hui of Jin, paving the way for one of the darkest and most chaotic eras in Chinese history, known as the War of the Eight Princes, which lasted from 291 to 306. This was a bloody, fratricidal conflict among 8 Sima princes, competing for the regency and control of the court, leaving the populace in misery, exhausting the economy, and particularly severely weakening the central military forces of the Jin dynasty. To win this brutal civil war, the princes made a fatal mistake by recruiting and using northern nomadic tribes like the Xiongnu, Shanbei, Jie, Di, and Chang as mercenaries, inadvertently inviting the tiger into the house and exposing the dynasty's decay. Seizing the opportunity while the Jin dynasty tore itself apart, the nomadic leaders swept down into the fertile Central Plains, officially initiating the brutal uprising of the 5 barbarians. In 311, Xiongnu forces under Liu Cong captured the capital Luoyang, taking Emperor Huai of Jin alive, and in 316 continued to raise Chang'an and capture Emperor Min of Jin, completely ending the brief Western Jin period. Amidst the misery and mourning of their ancestral lands, a large portion of Han nobles, scholars, and commoners in the north undertook a massive historic migration to the Jiangnan region, the former territory of Eastern Wu, to seek refuge, bringing with them all cultural essence and high-quality labor. Here, in 317, an imperial family member named Sima Rui, with the backing of major southern and northern clans, ascended the throne in Jiangkang, reestablishing the dynasty in a period historical records call the Eastern Jin.